That's so pretty. Hi everyone, I'm Susanna and I'm in Lisbon, North Dakota with T-Mobile. Tonight we're going to celebrate our powerful 5G network with an incredible drone show.
A drone show works by all the drones taking off together, every drone being at a very specific place at a very specific time. I think 5G is going to really enhance the drone industry, whether you're sending live video stream or connecting to 300 drones in a swarm.
Our 5G network covers more than 1.3 million square miles. That means we've got more 5G coverage than the other guys combined. And now that Sprint has joined T-Mobile, the network is even bigger and better. Woo! Look at all the magenta. Hello, Lisbon. From big cities to small towns, you can experience T-Mobile's best network yet. Are you with us?
Hi everyone, my name is Chef Ray and I'm coming to you from Publix Aprons Cooking School. And today we're going to be making a roasted butternut squash soup with some leeks. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. Have a great session. My name is Chef Ray. I'm with Publix Aprons Cooking School. For more great recipes, check out SoFlo.com. Take care.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to our live session Acroyoga class with
Pablo Milian
and Cristina Ortega. You guys know us as Murdoc 305 and High in Yoga. Hopefully you've been to one of our sessions at South Point Park, where we're here to bring you a live class to teach you a couple of our moves. So we'll begin today by thanking W.O.W, SoFlo. So W.O.W stands for Week of Wellness, and we're happy to be here. Thank you to all of our sponsors, T-Mobile, Baptist Healthcare, and all of the others that are making this come true. So today, right after a busy day of work, probably on a Tuesday night, we're going to bring you a couple of moves that you can try with your special or significant other, or with just a friend, whoever you have in your house. And this is called a bird. So Pablo is my base, I am his flyer, and we're going to begin first by helping my base down to the floor. Once he's resting, I want you to know that in Acroyoga, it takes two to tango. So Pablo is my base. We're going to teach you the basic move in L basing. It's called L basing because he's making an L shape with his body. Me, I'm going to be doing a couple of yoga moves on top of his legs. So why don't you tell him a little bit of what you do with your feet?
Basically, you're going to be lifting the flyer from your heels. So as she drops in from the waist, you're just going to let her push in and you're going to push her out to start. So it's basically like a little momentum.
So that he feels my weight falling into him. Now notice my chest doesn't drop into him. This is the most common mistake in a flyer. I want to keep my head up, my chest lifting high, and I breathe with him.
And just keep doing this 2 or 3 times. When you feel comfortable, the next time,
he's going to lift his arms.
You're going to put your arms up.
Flyer, your hands go like this. Base, your hands open wide. Palm to palm connection, so we count. 1, 2, down. Scoop from the heel all the way up. Let's try that again. So notice, he presses from the heel and lifts me up. He ends up in this L-shaped position, and I am lifting high with my torso. In yoga, we call that pose a cobra pose.
If you want to know your flyer, how close to get to your base, your fingernails should touch her toes. So there you know you're in the right position to get started, to start trying a bird.
1, 2, down and up we go. So So now, at the beginning here, most common mistakes, the flyers, they want to push their base's arms out to the side, or the base pulls their flyer's arms out to the side. You want to keep a stackness of the bones, shoulder to shoulder alignment. Now, at the beginning, your pose might not look this steady. It might be a little wobbly. It might shake to the sides, to the left, to the right. It takes a couple of calibration moves to get here solid. But don't give up. Try it as many times as you can. Any pointers here that you want to give them?
Basically, after you lift her up from the heel, then you use your toes to kind of try to lift her torso up, so eventually you could start releasing one hand and putting it to the side of your back. And then you could do the other hand as well, just to calibrate. This is basically calibrating so you're not like all wobbly. So the more stable you are, the better it will be.
Mm-hmm. Now, once you get, and you're like maybe in a more advanced state in your practice, you can also start bending the back knee, and the same move that you did to release one hand, try to grab the inside edge of your back foot and kick the foot into your hand. If you're more advanced and you feel super comfortable, make sure your base is still pointing his torso towards your belly. You can extend the other arm.
Keep the hand here just so your flyer can reach out if she needs help.
In case I fall,
you can always...
he's always there to catch me.
Yes, very important.
Nice. So that is our first move. That's called the bird. Now, a couple of pointers to get into your bird. You want to make sure that as a base, your feet are finding your flyer's hip bones. The ball of your foot on your flyer hip bones. It's going to take a couple of tries to get comfortable there, so don't get discouraged if it doesn't happen on the first try, okay? We're going to do that one more time. This time, we're going to encourage you to try, maybe, again, releasing the hands to the side.
Get your feet close.
Mm-hmm.
Get your flyer in the right place. Raise your arms. She drops in from the waist.
1, 2, down and up. Lift up. Now, eventually, I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable here. Point your toes towards my belly. I can start lifting more. The more I engage my lower back, the more I tighten up my legs, the lighter I become for my base. If I'm all wobbly and like loose, the base has less control over me. So the more steady I am, the more control he has over me. Now we're going to show you a move that is called folded leaf. And this we're going to come back to at the end of the class so that you can end up your practice kind of in a relaxed, therapeutic mode. So
I'm basically just going to open my feet out to the outside. My toes are going to the outside.
Heels to the inside.
And heels to the inside as she slowly drops in.
Now, important for your flyer. Give me your hands for a second, or hold my shoulders. I have to make sure that my legs are pointing down, heavy on the legs.
Heavy legs.
Because if I lift my legs, I'm going to go straight, head down on my base's chest. So what happens when I bend my legs? I create a little pocket for my base's feet to land there. And it's easy. Now, base, make sure your legs are not drifting back, okay? Because this creates a lot of weight on your hamstrings.
Or the other way.
Or the other way, because then it becomes really heavy for you. So you can stay here for a little bit. Flyer, just relax. And base is also good for your lower back. To come out of this, we count 1, 2, down, up. Lift back into your bird. And whenever you feel like you need to come out of a pose, the key word is
down.
No questions asked. All right, now we're going to show you one more move. It's kind of the same move that we just did on the feet, but it's on the hands in case you are working on your high bird. But for right now, we're going to keep everything on the ground and easy for you. So scooch over a little bit more. There you go. And now, as a flyer, I'm going to step over my base. Base, think about your hands as being your feet now. So extend your legs out. Now, talk about the hand placement on my...
So basically the palm of your hand should go back on the hip bone again. So you need to find the hip bone, and basically the palm of your hand is going to go on the hip bone. Your 2 fingers are going to go like kind of on the stomach, and the other 2 fingers on the side.
So the pointer and the middle finger are giving me support, okay? Now to begin this move, it takes a lot of trust from the flyer because I need to make sure that my base is gonna hold me. The weight of the flyer might push your arms that way, but you wanna fight that weight and you wanna keep the hands right over your shoulders, okay?
As she drops in, you want to
We're
make
gonna
sure.
do the same exercise that we did on the floor. I'm just gonna put the weight in, and he's not lifting me up yet. I'm just putting
And
the weight
notice
in.
she's dropping in from the waist first.
Don't pick me up yet. Just push me back down. Yes. So do that a few times. Feel comfortable there, and then come back. Again, notice I'm not dropping. I'm not hinging at the hips. I'm staying lifted with my torso up. One more time. Okay. He knows my weight now. He knows how much weight he's gonna put on his hands. The next step, so you feel safe, grab your base's forearms. Place the hands where they need to be placed. He also can check and you can feel comfortable. Communicate with your partner if you need them to be higher or lower. Don't be afraid to talk and to voice what you need. Once you're ready, I start leaning forward and it's very soft. The slower I move, the easier it is for my partner, for my base to control my weight. I lift up. If I feel comfortable with the hands, if not, I just keep holding onto his forearms. With my next breath, I can come down to the floor and voila. So that is the first intention.
The most important thing as the base is to keep your arms extended. Try not to bend your elbows as she's falling in and she's coming into the pose for the first time. So don't bend your arms like this. Try not to do this because she's gonna come too close to you. So your arms just are locked out so the body stays away and she needs to keep the nice shape with her shoulders up so she can just fall into your hands. Notice I don't bend my elbows as she's dropping in. She's dropping in, I keep my arms straight and then she lifts up. I never bend my arms. Very important, don't bend your arms because it makes it easier for the base and easier for the flyer. Very important.
Now, a little bit so that you understand what it means is all about the stackness of the bones. So when we are talking about Acroyoga, and especially this poses, the bird on the feet and the bird on the hands, it's all about creating a streamline of energy of the wrist all the way down to the shoulder, of the hip all the way down to his hip. So everything's aligned. The energy, if he was to pick me up and his arms are bent, he's muscling up the weight. If he is extended, the weight is being absorbed by this line of energy. So basically, that's a really good point to understand, that the more stacked you are, the easier it will be for you to feel less weight on you, the easier it will get. Now here's to the fun part that we want to get to you guys. You can try that a few times. Actually, let me go back to the bird on hands for a second. And just in case that is not working out, because it is not that easy to kind of trust the person under and make sure that they have it, you can start with your hands on the floor. And once he has the proper placement, which is actually a little harder because my legs are bent, I can then lift my legs up. If I feel comfortable, I start lifting my chest. I can always grab onto his wrist, onto his forearms. And again, if I happen to fall, my hands are there to catch me. My feet are that far from the floor. So don't be afraid to try something new. And eventually, we're teaching you this little move with the progression that eventually you could go up into the high bird, which is what everybody likes to do, the dirty dance move. Okay? So with that said, you want to demo just a high bird? Just for a second? Okay. So this is what we were trying to tell you. Okay? So once you get super comfortable with the bird on hands, we're just going to do this real quick. And hopefully this gets cut off.
Obviously, if you're ever going to try this, make sure you have a third person. Make sure that the flyer does not fall back. So when I go to raise her up, if you fall back, yes, somebody's there to help you.
Don't try this right now.
Don't try this.
Teaching you where it's leading you to, okay?
Yeah, this is just progression to get to this, but we're teaching you on the ground first. But she's still holding my forearms.
Just like we did on the floor.
My hands are exactly the same with the pointer finger and the index finger to the side. And then she's just going to raise up. So
One.
I'm going to do it like this so we don't get too high.
1, 2, down, up. Again, notice the stackness of the bones of my hip to his wrist, to his shoulder, all the way down to his hip. Okay?
And you just don't bend it, just keep your arms locked out. This is a little more advanced. Once you work on the other ones and you get better where you feel solid and you're flying a nice bird where they're very stable, then you can eventually try this. I'd highly recommend somebody helping you with that. It's very important.
All right. Yeah. Always it's very important that you trust a lot, that you know also your own capabilities. So if you haven't worked out for a long time, let's say you haven't done anything during the quarantine, always make sure you take it step by step, you know? We're leaving this class for you guys so that you can do it later on and come back to it later on when you want to keep progressing. We are doing this for all levels, so find where you are right now and just know that the sky is the limit, okay? So this is the pose that we wanted to build towards too, because it's one that looks harder than what it really is. So this one is called a flag pose, and it's actually really fun to do. And again, the slower you move as the base and as a flyer, the easier it is to work together. Acroyoga not only helps us to do cool shapes, but it also helps us communicate better, create trust between each other, and the communication is just key in a relationship, work, personal, professional, wherever you want to apply it. So, first things first. Flag is a pose that is it's considered a standing pose because the base is standing. Before we did L basing, now we're going to do standing pose. So you have those 3 poses that we just showed you to pick from.
I'm going to show you this pose right off the bat so you can take a look at it and feel comfortable, and then we're going to show you how to get into it. But I want you to know what a flag is, because we're saying flag. I don't know if you guys understand what a flag is. It's very basic. We're just going to do the flag immediately.
And then we're going to break it down.
And then we're going to break it down how you get into this. So I'm going to show you what a flag is, because it's not a calisthenics flag. This is Acroyoga flag. So she's going to put her foot.
It's okay. We're just going to do it now, and then we're going to break it down.
And then we'll break it down.
So basically, I turn into a flag on top of my base. Now, how do we get into that? Let's break it down.
Yes.
All right. So my base has to start in a chair pose. If you haven't gone to a yoga class in a long time, it means bend your knees and basically your arms either up to the sky or in front of you. Now, this kind of chair pose, it does take a little bit of a weirder stance, because usually chair pose in yoga, the feet are together. Here, my base is going to have his feet a little bit wider apart from each other, the knees coming in towards each other, and slight bend down from the hips, okay? So basically, this is what it looks like in front of you. Now do that sideways so that they can see how it looks sideways. Now this pose, the flag, is a counterbalance pose. What does that mean? Just like when you were in a seesaw when you were little and you would go to the park, or you take your kids to the park, it takes 2 to make the game go on, right? So as Pablo's weight drops that way, my weight has to counter on the other side somehow, because it's not just that he can hold himself leaning back in a chair pose, right? I have to put weight this way to help him out. Now, the same thing applies when I am on him and I'm leaning that way. If he doesn't lean that way, then I'm going to end up going the other way. So first things first, my base already understands his shape. Feet slightly apart from each other. You can measure 2 fists in between your feet if you want, and then bring the knees in towards each other. Now, flyer, you're going to hold hands of your base, palm to palm. Look at this. Fingers just, this is called a reverse hand-to-hand connection. Palm to palm, fingers wrap around my base's hands. Now, my foot, choose a foot, it doesn't matter which one it is, it's going to go sideways on my base's knees. My heel on one right above the knee, and my ball of the foot on the other knee.
So the heel will always be in the inside, and the toes will always be towards the outside. This is key to this pose.
Yeah, because some people try to go like this.
You get confused when you're going to start this. So
yes.
Toes are facing outward, heel is inward.
Exterior rotation of your hip flyer. All right, make sure that you don't place it too close to the knee, because then it will slide down. Make sure it's right above the knee, where you can add a little space in case you slide down a little bit, okay? But not too high either. Don't step on your bases. With your next breath, the first thing I do, notice his arms and my arms. They're both bent, okay? His arms are not yet extended. My arms are not yet extended. I'm trying to hold elbows in close to the rib cage. We're going to count to 3, and I work together with him, with my breath and with my movements. 1, 2, down, up. So what happened there? I literally just stepped over him. Notice my line, my hips over the knee, over the ankle, over his knees. That is the line that we're trying to have. Elbows keep straight, holding here close to the ribcage. His elbows are still holding me tight, close to him. So that's the first move that you want to try when you're trying to get into this poses. Again, when you are lifting up as a flyer, the most common mistake is that you throw all the way back immediately. Think about standing and lifting up, tall up towards the sky. So we count again. 1, 2, down, up. Elbows hugging close to the body. I'm not leaning back. I'm trying to stay over him. Okay? Next step. Once I get really solid here, I can start bringing my opposite knee up towards the sky. So my leg goes up over his shoulder. And I hook my foot sideways on behind his neck. Now, my foot is flexing, not pointing, flexing so that I can create a traction behind the neck. And my base is shifting his neck back. So that way, he gives me the support so I can hook my foot behind his neck. Once I'm there solid, my base can place his hand on top of my thigh. Okay, so he's actually holding my leg really close to his neck. So that way there's no way I can slip out and fall. Once I'm here, notice my hips are still rotating kind of inwards. So for the flag to look pretty and beautiful, you could do this and stay here. But if you feel super comfortable, you can start opening your hip out towards the side and then open your arms. My base is still holding me here tight. He's giving me the support. And for right now, this is where I want to be. You can play different shapes with your arms. And then eventually, when it's time to come back, hold hands first. Remove the foot. Slowly down the same way you got in. So, if you guys at any point have any questions and you're like, hey, we tried this and this happened, you're always welcome to send us a message and we'll try to reply to you guys. But for right now, try to watch that as many times as you need to. We're going to do it one more time, very slow, because the slower I move, the less movement he has to catch of me. Again, notice the counterbalance. As I lift up and balancing him, he has to lean a little that way. The more I pull back, the more he has to lean back. Okay? So anything you want to add on to that?
Just the key for the flyer here is to, when you're going to get into this move, is stand straight up. It's going to make everything a lot easier. So before you even start leaning back and getting into this pose, work on the beginner one, which is just standing straight up and never releasing hands and so on and so forth. Because the most important is this, the way you get up, to make it smooth. So it's very important when you're going to fly your flyer that you get in a nice chair pose. The lower you can go with your butt, the flatter that your thighs will be for her to put her foot.
Yeah, because if my base is like practically standing,
if you're like
there's
this,
nowhere for me to, and my foot would just slide down.
Slide down. So make sure you make a nice little
platform.
As much as you can. And basically, again, the toes go to the outside, the heel goes to the inside, and she's going to stand straight up. So she jumps towards me, like forward and up. So right over this ankle, she's going to be straight up. And
as if you were stepping like on a stepping stone, you know? Like you don't step in sideways, you don't go pushing back, you step right into it.
And stay close to each other here. Don't, just right here, when you're going to start, stay close.
1, 2, down and up.
So
once you get solid here.
Once she's this close, then you can start, and you feel comfortable here where you're stable and it's not shaking or doing anything like this. Then you're going to be ready to lift the knee and put it behind the neck. That'll be the next step. So once you
So remember, foot goes sideways, hooks behind the neck. Make sure the foot is all the way in and flexing with the toes, as if you were trying to wrap your toes behind your base's neck.
Keep holding on to the hand for safety, And once you feel comfortable, your left hand or your right hand will go over the thigh of your flyer and grab and kind of locks everything in behind the neck so she doesn't fall that way.
Also, his neck is slightly shifting back, so that way it makes my foot feel very solid, very locked in there, like I'm not going anywhere. Now, as I start opening up my hip, he has more room here also to lean back because I'm adding more weight this way. I can even play with my arms like I showed you before. Now, at the beginning, this transition from closed hip to open hip, it takes a little bit of trust. So if you have a third person, that third person will be spotting you from this side, trying to hold your waist. But for right now, the slower you do, maybe do it next to the couch, and that way you can feel safe. But that is our flag pose. So have fun with it. We're gonna do the other side so we keep our sides even. We're gonna move a little faster and we're gonna show you one more variation of this one. Once you get super comfortable, or if you have a more advanced practice, this one includes a back bend. So same thing, same way that we got in. Foot sideways. Make sure you do both sides so that way you feel comfortable and you don't have to have uneven sides. 1, 2, down and up.
Keep her close. Notice she's still close.
I extend the leg over his shoulder, hook the foot sideways behind his neck.
Grab the leg, keep holding on here for safety. Grab the leg so she can't fall back.
So once I'm here and I'm here, I'm like, okay, I feel super comfortable here. I'm gonna tell, babe, I'm gonna go back.
Okay.
Okay? So now to do that, I have to rotate my hip back up towards the sky, and then I can start leaning back. But as I add more weight, he has to give me more weight back.
Just keep your arm here. Make sure she doesn't rotate to the left this way or back. So kind of keep it really steady. So lock your shoulder and grab her thigh here and make sure you're steady there in this position with your head leaning back.
Now that is the most advanced posture. If you want to go for it, I would suggest you do it with a spotter the first time. So have somebody behind you just taking care of, because it does add a lot of weight for the base to counter. Counterbalance requires adding and taking away from the weight that we're adding into the pose.
Hopefully you have somebody at home to help you to spot you for that pose there. The other poses you can probably work on by yourselves, which is the bird on the feet and the bird on the hands. It's a great way to start.
Yes. Now, to kind of end our session, we want to show you something that will help you now wind down everything that we just did, because all that is very exciting. Try it as many times as you wish. Come back to this video, try it again. And if you don't nail it in the first time, let it fuel your adventure to try it again, to come back to it and do it again. Because honestly, when I started, I didn't know anything about acro, and the sky's the limit. It depends if you like it. Sometimes you get the acro bug, and then all you want to do is acroyoga, acroyoga, acroyoga. And from there, you can do so many other transitions. It becomes really fun and something to do with your special other or just a friend, a family member. Even with your kids, you can try this with your kids.
This is also great, it's a lot of connection and trust between two people that you're always together, or it could be a friend if you feel comfortable. It's just a beautiful practice, and it's a great way to connect with a significant other.
So now, I want you guys to know that Acroyoga, it means a mix between yoga, acrobatics, and therapeutics. So for right now, we already kind of showed you the L-basing, we showed you the high standing posture, and now we did the flag, which is kind of like a medium standing posture. We're gonna do now what the therapeutics part is all about. So a good thing to always remember as a flyer is to have common courtesy with your base and always help him down to the floor. So help him go down so he doesn't have to do all the work of like dropping down to the floor. All right, so now first he's gonna give me a little massage on my back, and you can try this at home too, since it's the late at night, the end of the night, so you can end your practice, your session with this. Just like we did at the beginning of class. just like we did at the beginning of class. Make sure you touch the toe so you measure the correct distance of your flyer against you. Other thing, when you are coming into bird, most common mistake of the base is to push the flyer away from you. Receive your flyer, so try to bend the knees. Also, if you as a base have tight hamstrings, which is also very common for the guys, meaning the back of your legs is tight and you cannot straighten out your legs, a good way to compensate for that is to grab a little pillow, grab a little blanket, even maybe fold your own mat and place it right under your sacrum. So when you do that, what happens? You're lifting up your hips a little bit to compensate for the lack of flexibility. And Acro, believe it or not, will help you open your hamstrings. So the more you do this, the more stretchier you'll get, the stronger you'll get as well. So remember that if you need that extra help to fly your flyer in a bird. So he's gonna give me my hands. Always try to use your hands unless you're super advanced and you can go straight into without hands. But for the sake of this lesson, we're gonna encourage you to use the hands. So I count again, 1, 2, down and up. My base picks me up off the ground and I breathe. He's gonna open his feet wide just like we did before. I'm gonna fold into this folded leaf pose. So remember, try to keep your ankles right above your hip. So ankles, knee, hip. And my hip is on top of all of that. So my weight is being absorbed by this line of energy.
If you don't have the flexibility, it's okay. You bend, your knees will probably be bent, and you can hold her there and do the best you can to keep it stacked.
Just make sure you put something under your sacrum so that way the legs don't go that way or are drifting far too back, and then it becomes too much strain on the muscles in your legs.
Once you have your flyer here, unfolded leaf, she can wrap her arms around her back.
Reach for opposite elbows.
Interlace. Lift her up from the shoulders, and you're in a comfortable position here. Then you're ready to stretch her back out a little bit.
Very softly.
Very softly, you're going to lower the left leg and push up on the left arm. So you lower your left and push on your left.
Now you don't have to release the hand on the shoulder. He's just doing that so you can see how he's bending the knee.
So you can see. And
heavy legs for the flyer. Very heavy, okay? Heavy leg. Just hang on top of your base.
So she's basically stretching. It's a twist. You're going to twist the other side. You're going to put your right hand where it should be there all the time. And you're going to do the same. You're going to drop your right one and push up on your right arm. Keep your arm extended like always. We said on the beginning of the lesson. So basically here you're stretching her.
He's giving me like a spinal twist, and it feels really good for the flyer.
Yeah, the left leg is extended, the right is bent, and the right arm is pushing up. So whatever leg is bending, the arm is pushing. The same arm is pushing. This is a stretch. And you can bring her back a few times. Once you get her back to the same position, you can shake your legs off a little bit just for her sacrum. Once you have that, you can release her. And then there's other stretches which you could
release my hands, and I'm going to try to reach for behind my base's neck. I'm interlacing my hands behind his neck. Now, important again, heavy legs, flyers. Don't let the legs lift up because otherwise you're going to end up with your head crashing on top of your base.
Heavy legs is she's pushing down with her feet a lot.
They're not high,
yeah,
they're heavy,
keep it
legs.
heavy. So when she raises, if they're not heavy, what happens is it's going to feel like she wants to drop into you. You kind of want to avoid that. So make sure she's pushing down on her feet to make a nice shelf for my feet to hold her there. Once she's in that comfortable position, she's interlacing her fingers behind my neck. I put my two hands around her back and I push away and she's
with the legs,
holding onto my neck. So basically I'm extending her torso as much as possible. She can get a nice stretch. So if you notice my legs are not stacked anymore, she wants to fall that way, but she's holding on here so she can get an excellent stretch on her back. This is really therapeutic and it really feels nice for the flyer, especially after you were trying all those moves. Yeah.
Now here is very good for the flyer and for the base to connect with the breath.
So the deeper you breathe together here, the better and the more you will release the tension from that long day of work and from trying all these cool moves that we just taught you. So try to deepen the breath while you're here and communicate. As a base, try not to pull so much your flyer. Communicate with her or with him and let them tell you, hey, like this feels good, maybe like take it down a notch, maybe take it up a notch, kind of like that's how you play with this. So once you're here, the next thing will be again to reach for opposite elbows. You can do another variation with your legs, feet together. This time, try to keep the hands on both of my shoulders and then just bend one knee and the opposite elbow. So bend the opposite elbow and this elbow. There you go. So it's again the spinal twist. Again, play with the breath. You can stay there for 2 to 3 breaths, and then when you're ready, you're like, okay, that feels good. Let's go to the other side and breathe again. So you see he bends one knee, and if you want to keep the connection of the hand and the shoulder, that elbow kind of bends slightly. It just offers the support for your flyer to feel safe here. Especially at the beginning, it's not going to be solid like this. Your legs might be wandering to the left, to the right. So that is our therapeutics version of our Acroyoga session. Also, you can just land heavy and he can give you like a sweet massage on the back if it feels good for you. Again, just try to breathe. And it feels good to just hang upside down. Now, since my base was nice enough to give me a beautiful massage, I'm going to ask him to just rest on the mat. And this is also a good practice to create so that at the end of your playtime with your base, you can give your base also some tending, loving care. So I always like to grab my base's legs. He's going to just lay heavy here, heavy legs, and I just give him a little massage. Just as a thank you for everything that he just did for me. He was lifting me, he was making me shine, so I just wiggle his legs around, heavy, heavy with the legs. I'm going to ask him to lift the legs up towards the sky, to flex his feet. And again, just put a little weight here and wiggle the hips left and right, side to side. You can, if you feel comfortable, like give him a little flex in the toes and then help him point the toes. And again, flex in the toes and then help him point the toes. I'm going to have him bend the knees now, knees to the chest. And he can just lay there and I can help him go side to side. It's going to feel like he's massaging his sacrum on the ground. Again, he was kind enough to hold me up with his legs, so sometimes the sacrum can hurt a little bit. So this is a good way to release that tension. I'm going to ask him to extend this leg, drop it down to the floor. I'm going to ask him to put this foot on my shoulder. Okay? You're going to press with the right hand behind the thigh and keep the left hand on his left thigh. And breathe. Actually, it's your right thigh, right? Yeah. Breathe. And not so much, not so little. Communicate with each other. See what feels good for you. So it's just a little stretching, to end the practice with a little thank you for lifting me up. Breathe in, breathe out, and then slowly lower the legs to the ground. And just like we did before, I'm going to take care of his shoulders as well. Walk out to the other side. I'm going to give him a little massage in the neck. You can use your fingers to kind of run them behind the neck. And this is very simple and very effective. It feels good after that workout that we did. And then slowly press on the shoulders. Give him a little push down. You can wiggle the weight left and right a few times. And that takes care of your base. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this session. Again, if you have any questions about any of the moves that we did today in the class, please let us know. You can reach us out. His Instagram is Murdoc305, MURDOC305, and mine is unwind. We actually have a beautiful community of Acro yogis that meet and get together on Wednesdays and Sundays for sunset time. So
this time of the year is around 5 o'clock, and we do this, a lot of this.
Yes, a lot of acro, a lot of yoga, a lot of calisthenics, and it's a big community. It's free. It's for everybody to meet and be a part of the community, basically. It's just a fun event. It's a beautiful sunset. It's Miami. Guys are more than welcome to join us. We're always there on Wednesdays and Sundays teaching and helping others.
Yeah, it's like a playtime. It's like an adult playground. You can also bring your kids if you want, and they are always there running around. We have slack lines. So it's like a common area to promote health, wellness, and so that you know that only because you're an adult, it doesn't mean that everything has to be so serious. You can always have fun. You can always have time to play. And so with that said, any questions again, reach out to us. Thank you again to all of our sponsors. Thank you again for everyone who made this happen. And I hope to see you guys soon. Send us your messages and have a beautiful rest of your night. Rest up and see you soon. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Take care.